Hey guys, Andrew Esquivel here, back with another review slash kind of compatibility test. So what we have here is a brand new computer case. This is the Cooler Master High Airflow X computer case. Now if you have any of the Cooler Master High Airflow series cases, you'll know that there are plenty of spots to put the 200mm fans. And if you have one of these cases, at one time or another you may have looked to see if there's any good aftermarket solutions to replace the stock fans that come with the case. Well, if you've looked recently, you'll find that Noctua, of all brands, has finally come out with their 200mm fans. This was about 4 years of research and development to make this thing right here. Now it comes in either PWM or the FLX series. We have a bunch of the PWMs. These are known as the NF-A20 series fans, and they are absolutely gorgeous. But the question is, will they fit properly inside of the Cooler Master High Airflow series cases? Because there are a number of reviews saying that these fans, although built very well, have some issues getting into spots of the case, particularly the fronts or some of the panels where the plastic has to clip into place, and people have been having to modify this fan just a little bit to make it fit. But we're going to see if that truly is the case with this case right here. Let's get a more close-up look at what we're dealing with. So, on the front, we have a nice big 200mm fan. On the side panel, we've got a big 200mm fan, and on the top, we have two spots for 200mm fans. 4 200mm fan slots. That's perfect because we have 4 of the NF-A20 series fans from Noctua. Let's go ahead and start putting them in the slots and making sure they fit. First fan we are going to replace is the side vent fan. For details, here's what Cooler Master has spec'd out for their current fan. Let's go ahead and swap it. Alright, turns out this is a perfect direct fit for the default hole mounts on the side panel. Now, in order to fit this on the side panel, we had to use the inner portions right here. And normally I opt for these low noise rubber kind of vibration dampening systems, but because this stock fan came with an air duct, we opted to use the screws that came with the fan, and the air duct will be applied in the same manner once we get it on. Now, mounting the air duct onto the fan was absolutely no problem. We just used the default screws that were used to mount the air duct onto the stock Cooler Master fan. Everything is in place and ready to go. As you can see, it's all set up. We have the PWM connection right here to go on whenever the motherboard is finally in the case. But that's one of 4 fans. Let's go to the more tricky one, which is the front panel fan. This is the one people have been saying have been giving them a problem because the front panel disconnects via these plastic tabs right here. And they're saying that this front panel's tabs get in the way of the fan placement, or the fan gets in the way of the tabs, and they can't put this back on without modifying the fan. We're going to see if that's true for the Cooler Master High Airflow X. Now that we got the panels off of the case, we can access the front fan. In order to do that on this case, we first had to remove the top plastic piece right here, which has 6 tabs, 1, 2, and 3 on each side. That allows us to lift this up, and once that's lifted up, we have some tabs on the front panel right here, another set of 3 on each side, and this simply slides forward, giving us access to the screw holes that holds the fan in place. Time to swap it. Out with the old, in with the new. The front fan has been replaced by the Noctua 200mm fan. And once again, everything went in absolutely swimmingly. As far as I can tell, there's nothing impeding the plastic portions for the tabs on the front panel to get in place, but let's go ahead and put them in just to make sure. Okay, so let's see if this fan prevents the front panel of the case from being attached back to the rest of the chassis. That's all 6, and as far as I can tell, there's no gap, nothing impeding anything on either side. Everything seems to be exactly as it should. So as far as the front panel is concerned on the high airflow X, nothing is going to be wrong with swapping out for the 200mm fan from Noctua. But that is just 2 of 4. Let's get the next 2 installed, which are the exhaust fans on the top. So starting out with the top fans, there's something important that we noticed. These fans aren't connected traditionally like all the other fans. As you can see, there's a long protruding screw that goes from the top and screws in to the top portion of the case. Now, Noctua does not come with these screws, but if you bought the Cooler Master High Airflow, it does come with 4 extra screws if you want to mount another 200mm fan, which is what we did right here. Now, here comes a few of those gap clearance issues. We are getting precariously close to the tolerances of everything on the top, including all these wires that go to the front I/O panel. All of these are kind of somewhat being squished by the fan. Now, we don't know if it's going to fit yet, and by the way, the case didn't come with 2 200mm fans on the top. It only came with 1. And you'll notice the differences in design to accommodate this. This fan was designed in a circle with protruding spots just for the screws. This fan is much more square in design, so that's where I think a lot of the problems stem from. Let's go ahead and see if we can get the top panel back on without any issues. So we are painstakingly close to getting this to fit. As you can see, the tab would still fit in the right spot, but because all these wires from the front I/O panel are jumbled right where the fan is, we can't get the wires to go down easily enough to get this portion, the right side of the top piece, to fit back onto the top. We're going to try and finagle some things around and see if we can't make that work, but this is something to be aware of. So before we even attempt to put the last of the 4 Noctua fans in place, we decided to take a look at the plastic piece in general. Would this even fit in the plastic piece? Now this is the standard Cooler Master fan. You'll notice, like I said before, it's rounded with just enough protrusion for the screws to go through. And as you can see, it sits nice and flush, just like it should. Let's see if the Noctuas can do the same. Unfortunately, herein lies the problem. We've got a bunch of plastic that ultimately only favors Cooler Master's particular fans. And this is, I guess, what a lot of people were talking about, is a lot of the plastic simply gets in the way of a nice flush fit, which unfortunately means no matter how much we try, no matter how perfect the screws and everything are, the top piece, so the Cooler Master High Airflow X, will not accommodate two of Noctua's 200mm fans because of this issue. And once again, let's talk about the difference in shape. Very square versus very round with just slight protrusions. Noctua's own design, despite the fact that it was engineered to work quite well, limits its ability to fit in cramped spaces in certain spots on certain cases. This is a good example of that situation. It just doesn't have the clearance to fit. So, you've essentially got two options. Use the stock fans that come with the Cooler Master series, or don't use this top piece at all and just screw in these right here if you genuinely don't care about aesthetics and you don't mind the possibility of something jamming the fan. But that is a decision for you to make. And thusly, that ends this little video that we're trying to do. If the Noctua fans fit properly on the Cooler Master cases. 2 out of the 4 fans fit flawlessly. But only 2. We're left with 2 extras that simply don't have a place in this case. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If this was informative and helpful, please leave a thumbs up. And if you hated it, go ahead and leave me a thumbs down. And in the comments, tell me why. What did I do wrong to cause you to leave a thumbs down? If you like the content I make, consider subscribing and clicking the little bell icon to get notified every time I upload a video, if that's your sort of thing. And as always, I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed the video.